Hello and welcome back to LFC News. In today's video, we have a huge £83 million reveal for Liverpool, which we will get into in today's video. And we'll also look over all the latest Liverpool news from the last 24 hours. But before we do, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Liverpool content. Let's get straight into the video today, and we've got a couple of stories to go over, a couple short stories to really look at. One to do with Mark Guehi, one to do with Alexis McAllister, and I can't remember the other one. There is another one. To do with Kostas Tsimikas. Let's have a look at Mark Guehi first. So Mark Guehi back in the headlines as the January transfer window draws nearer. So obviously Liverpool massively linked with Guehi both in the summer and in the winter coming up. He was a big target for Liverpool, almost got the deal done, but it fell through at the last minute. And the idea is that Liverpool are probably going to sign him in January, either on either for a fee or a free deal in the summer. However, Oliver Glasner has actually come out and spoken about the situation. Oliver Glasner said, "I think Mark will stay and play until the end of the season. That's my understanding right now. Nobody told me anything different. I know there is no offer right now, so why expect something different?" So ultimately, he could just be incentivizing someone to come in by basically saying that there's no offer on the table at the minute, because really Palace are going to want money for Guehi rather than losing him on a free. So that could just be incentivizing people to make a bid, or it could genuinely be true. Maybe there has been no offers made. Maybe he genuinely thinks Guehi will stay until the summer, but that ultimately means losing him on a free. There's lots of teams looking at Guehi. I know Bayern Munich are looking at him, Man City, Liverpool, and I believe Barcelona had an interest at one stage. Joe Gomez, pulling up with an injury against Brighton, highlighted how precarious the centre-back ranks are at Liverpool, and they need to act, though they won't be keen to advise their obvious need. Let's see, asking prices. And then McAllister, we covered this yesterday. McAllister looking like contract talks are open. Obviously very early stages, but I can imagine the deal will get done over the next month or so. Which is great news. McAllister, he does deserve it. Not at the strongest of seasons, but since Liverpool have changed up their shape this season, he's definitely stepped up his game, which is positive to see. There's also news that Dayot Upamecano was offered to Liverpool, but that came from a Munich-based paper, but nothing ever came of it. Now, would you like to see Upamecano at Liverpool? Not everyone's cup of tea, but I guess Liverpool can't really be picky at the minute when it comes to centre-backs. And then Kostas Tsimikas could be one of several loanees set for an early return, with reports in Italy claiming Roma could terminate his deal to make space in the squad, which I'm all for, really. Kostas Tsimikas always been a very solid backup option for Liverpool. And things obviously aren't working out for Milos Kerkez at the minute, and Andy Robertson is way too old to be playing every single game this season. So this is very positive news for Liverpool in regards to Tsimikas. I'd be interested to see if anything comes out of Upamecano. I know we did report a lot on Upamecano in the summer. It looked like a deal would eventually get done if Guehi didn't. But obviously Guehi went down to the last minute before it fell through. So obviously a deal for Upamecano could not be done. But whether that actually comes about in the winter, we'll just have to wait and see. And what actually happens with Mark Guehi, obviously have to keep our eyes out and see what happens with him. But yeah, let's get into our main story today. So as I mentioned, Liverpool have made an £83 million reveal, and it's to do with Mohamed Salah and his eventual replacement. So we'll get into this now. So Liverpool transfer news as Reds plan all-out offensive for $111 million Mohamed Salah replacement. So that works out about £83 million, which is certainly a much more reasonable price than that. And it's to do with Nico Williams, a familiar face with Liverpool. Obviously, we were linked with him a lot last January and this summer transfer window. And it's looking like he could be the possible long-term replacement for Mohamed Salah. So obviously, as I mentioned, Nico Williams is a player Liverpool fans have grown to know over the last couple of years. He really burst onto the scene in Spain, became a huge target of Liverpool and Barcelona, but then went on to sign a huge 10-year contract, I believe it was, at his home club of Athletic Bilbao. Now things aren't going well for Bilbao at the minute. We'll find where it says this here. So they're not having a great season. They've won 7 of their last 17 La Liga games. And apparently, Nico Williams, according to the Spanish report, is considering whether the decision to pen such a huge length deal was a mistake. Now, Williams does have a $111 million or €95 million release clause in his contract, which essentially means the 10 years he signed are irrelevant. He could be on 2 years, he could be on 10 years, it doesn't matter. €95 million, and that will trigger a release clause. But that works out about £83 million for our English viewers, which honestly I think is a fairly reasonable fee for Nico Williams, especially if he hits the ground running and really shows England what he can do, because he's a very aggressive attacking player, very, very technically gifted, and he would be a very, very solid replacement for Mohamed Salah. Obviously, we've seen this story before. Nico Williams close to signing with Liverpool and all that. So obviously we're gonna have to take it with a pinch of salt, because this is a reused narrative really of Nico Williams potentially joining Liverpool. However, now it's starting to make sense. Before it didn't. Salah playing well, out and out starter for the club, but now Salah's obviously had his fallout with the club. And he's not the player he was last season. And obviously things aren't going well for Nico Williams at the minute. So it's a deal that could potentially make sense for the club. And it could potentially lead somewhere, which would be interesting to see. I'd love to see Nico Williams at Liverpool. And just in the Premier League in general, because I remember watching him for Spain not long ago, and he's incredibly talented. A phenomenal player. Him and Lamine Yamal are really going to light it up for Spain over the next 10, 15 years. It's going to be really interesting to see. So if Nico Williams could be wearing a Liverpool shirt while he's doing it, that would be even better. But let me know your thoughts on that down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.